Hello, everyone. This is Ilya Naishuller, the director of Nobody. It makes me happy that you're listening to this. It tells me that you've seen the movie, you enjoyed it enough to be curious about what I have to say. And here we go. I think the change here from the script was, as Bob left, he left a couple $100 on their table. And I remember the night before Bob and I were discussing this, and it felt like such a white savior complex move. Like, he's a good guy, and these guys need help, so let him drop some money. And we got rid of that, and it worked so much better just with him saying F***. And the reference in my mind was Brad Pitt's behavior at the end of Seven, when he's hitting his head with the gun a little bit as the situation unravels with the box. I remember going up to Bob and saying, Bob, knock the gun against your head and just say F*** in the most pissed off way that you can. And Bob being Bob, he did not do the most pissed off thing that he can. He did the right thing for the scene. And that's a wonderful thing working with experienced actors, is that you provide the question, and most of the time they'll provide an excellent variety of possible answers. And then you sit in the editing room and you get to pick what fits exactly. Get options. My first film, Charlton Copley, who played Jimmy, he would always tell me, just get options. Let me do a wackier one. Let me do a more serious one. And I used to think, no, the director should know exactly what you need. Yes, but you should have your mind open, because you don't know what the situation in the editing room, and the more options you can have, the better it is for you. This line, this moment, this was written as about a 2/3 of a page of a speech about the universe sending things your way. And it's a beautiful speech written by Derek. And we were rehearsing it with Bob in my place in Winnipeg, and it worked. And I said, Bob, I think at this point, we've got to get to the action. Just tell me you're going to f*** him up. As simple as that. And it's amazing when you have a script that has more than you need, because you do get to pick and choose. And having the freedom to alter stuff and get options caused us to get this thing. And I know it's not the greatest line ever written, but I'm going to f*** you up sums up exactly what is happening. And sometimes, not sometimes, like George Orwell said, if you can cut a word, cut the word. So here we cut 2/3 of a page, and I think it worked much better. Although it read fantastically on the page, as it usually does when Derek puts pen to paper. Here we go. This is where we introduce to the villainous force. And when I signed on originally, the villains were Koreans, hence Julian and Teddy, which could also work just as well as Korean names. And I remember talking to the guys and saying, look, if they need to be Korean, I'll make it work, but I don't know enough about Korean culture to make it feel good enough so that South Korean audiences will see it and not feel like it's a typical imposter move, which happens all the time in movies, we all know. And I poke fun of Derek to his face, obviously, that the Russian elements in John Wick are hilariously wrong, and it doesn't matter in the slightest, because Russians enjoy the movies, they make money, we love them, so you can't get away with it. But I thought, look, if a Russian guy's directing a movie in America, if the option is to have the bad guys be Russians, make him Russians. You'll make it feel much more authentic and real, and plus, as I'm told, I don't really know if it's true, but Russians are considered crazy and dangerous by a lot of Americans, so it's a lot of wins. And Alexei Serebryakov, who is Julian, is a big star back home, does a lot of work in Europe as well, independent cinema. I think it was a big get, because we originally intended, the plan was to have an American star play Julian, and I was open, but I kept the card of potentially call, because I wanted to work with Alexei for a long time. I thought, well, let's go through all the American options. And the American options were, I don't want to talk about the names, I don't think it's right. And there were some absolutely great names and people who could have done this in a very interesting way. It'd be very different, but I'm sure it would have been great. But the budget we had it's some kind of indie-ish level, but it's a studio film. So obviously, stars don't want to do a studio film for indie paycheck, which makes total sense, no question asked. So when that plan failed, I pulled out the Alexei Serebryakov card and I said, this is the guy. And everybody jumped at the chance. He did a self-tape from his home in Toronto wearing shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. And I said, look, just do a scene in English, do a scene in Russian, and do a stupid, wacky dance. And he did all of them. And I sent that to Bob and the producers, and everyone got back to me the same day and said, let's get him. And that was awesome. Well, this is the most important scene in the film because it is my first appearance in an American motion picture as an artiste. But let's not talk about me. The guy on the left, Sergei Shnurov, friend of mine, I'm lucky to call him a friend. He's a huge rock star back in Russia. And it's a cameo. I was shooting actually a music video for him when I got the call that I got this project. And he was like, why are you excited? I'm like, well, I think I might be doing something in America finally. And he says, well, if you got space in there, give me a call and let's do a cameo. I'm like, cool. So, a year and a half later, I said, you know what? Now's the time. He was doing a tour in America, and he flew up from San Francisco. And here, I didn't tell him what he's going to be doing, nothing. So he arrives, and I'm like, yeah, you're going to try and kill Chris Lloyd, and Chris Lloyd's going to kill you, and then he's going to slap you across the cheek. So when he sees Chris Lloyd, his reaction was priceless. To see a big star, and to me, Sergei is a huge star, and to all Russians, to see a star be starstruck, that's a very cool experience. RZA, finally, Bobby Digital on the screen in Nobody. I can't recall if originally he was written as an African American, but I remember talking to Derek and both of us thinking there's a way to make this family even more unexpected. And I don't think we ever say whether he's a stepbrother, half-brother, and I don't think it matters in the slightest. What matters is they understand each other from the get-go, and there's a great history between them. And I think in the original, it was just Hutch fighting off all the Russians. And I remember begging Derek. I said, Derek, we got to get the family in there. We got to have them in there. And it's great to save him for the potential sequel if there will be one. But one basic rule of action films that you can never avoid if you want to do anything decent is that the action has to escalate. So we had the bus fight where it's just knives and fists. Then we had the home invasion with some baseball bats and gunfire and machine guns and kettles. Then we have a montage thing, and then we get to the end where we have a car chase, which is different and bigger. And how do you do another shootout? And you do that by having more characters in there that you care about and that they can interact with each other and switch up of styles. So I'm glad everybody agreed, and we got to see RZA not just on the ham radio. And RZA, right, a little quick story is that I never met him personally before. I've been at his concert in Moscow. He went straight to rehearsal because he was here for 3 or 4 days and there was just no time for anything. So he went straight from the airport to the rehearsal space. And one of the sound guys says he's wearing a hat and he kind of felt comfortable in a hat. So I'm thinking, well, I think we're going to have a hat. So I'm going to go meet him in his trailer for the first time. I asked him, I said, look, the guy said you were rehearsing in the hat, and what are you thinking? You thinking you want to wear the hat? And it's a cool beanie hat. And he says, well, what do you think? And I say, well, I don't think Harry would have a hat. RZA said the most wonderful words the director can hear. He says, Ilya, I'm here to serve the film. What do you need me to do? It's just incredibly pleasant when you all get together with a common goal and you work together. You don't make it about yourself, you make it about the project.